All right, fellas, I got a package from the Netherlands from, let's see, his Twitter name is Safe Technician. Very cool looking lock. He works for this company called M&C. Here's the card, and the model of this is called the Matrix. Brand new, I just took it out of the box. Very neat looking keyway and a very cool looking key. Not only do you have a 6-pinner, but it looks like it's got some sliders on the other side. And I did take a look in there with a flashlight, and I believe there are 4 and maybe as many as 5, but I can for sure see 4 sliders along the right side of the lock. I've also been looking at a brochure, and this is a very cool lock because you notice we got kind of a spacer here. I've never seen this before. The spacer is so if you need to modify the length of the lock for different thicknesses of doors, you can do that. You can also, according again to the brochure, convert this into a thumb turn. So if you want a thumb turn on the inside, you can modify it simply by taking out a couple of screws and then bolting it on there. It is anti-snap, very strong steel piece right here to keep from snapping this very easily. Very cool. It also has a sidebar. Let me see if I can get this to focus on here. Again, the brochure, this is the Matrix cutaway. So you can't see the side pins on the other side, but you can see the sidebar that goes in the side and prevents the core from turning if you don't have it lined up with the right slot in each of those. There are 6 pins on this one, and on the brochure I'm only seeing 5 pins, but there are 6 according to this key. It does work beautifully. If I can get the key in there, just very smooth. But when I look down in there from a picker perspective, it looks to me as if those side pins are going to be getting in the way of to pick those pins on top. But let's give it a shot. That's why the Safe Technician sent it. Let me get this clamped up and we will give it a shot. All right, guys, I think that's going to hold it. I am going to use, if I can find it here, I'm going to use top of the keyway. When I take a look at this, we got a couple of things against us. We're going to be able to tension it, I think, with not too much trouble. But on the bottom, you'll notice, I think you can see in there in the bottom right, we got those sliders, and they kind of block access to the pins. I think I can get access to the first 1 or 2, but past that, those sliders, I think, are going to interfere. We'll find out in just a minute. I'm also going to assume that I have to pick the top pins first and then pick the slider, and if I mess around with it and don't get a fault set, then I'll pick the sliders first, get a fault set, and then pick the top pins. I really don't know which way it's going to go. We just got to wing it. All right, light tension. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try to cheat. I'm going to try to use a Bogota, and I'm just going to try to rake up maybe a fault set, and I can already tell you those sliders are grabbing. Yeah, they are grabbing. All right, light tension and just kind of work it past those sliders. See if we can work up a little bit of fault set anyway. Anything. I'll take anything. They really are grabbing. I'm afraid I'm going to break this pick. All right, we're not getting access with the Bogota. So I'm going to go from the bottom. I'm going to use a 15 thousandths medium hook. And those sliders really are persistent. That was pin 2. There's pin 1. A little counter rotation on him. Okay, I do a fault set now. Little one. The click was pin 6. That was pin 3. I felt a very slight, barely detectable turn in my thumb on the tensioner. And I think I'm not getting any counter rotation. I'm getting no feedback at all. So I'm thinking either we have a T-pin that's bound up or maybe serrated, or perhaps the top pins are picked. If you take a look, I do have a very slight, negligible. Normally if it would be perfectly vertical, this one has a little bit of a fault set. So maybe we're hung up on the side pins now. So I'm going to take this little probe. It's actually a broken pick that I kind of thinned out. And I'm going to slide them down beneath the sliders there. And then kind of push them up. And then I'm going to attack them one at a time from the top and push them down if I can find a binder. Well, let's see if they can make that work. I am going to zoom in just a little so you can see. Maybe. All right, let me slide it down beneath all the sliders. Hopefully. Get under there. Pin 2. Slider 2 was really hung up. And now I'm just going to turn it and push them all to the top. And then I'm going to apply tension. I don't feel like I got them all though. Yeah, number 2's still on the bottom. See if I can get under him. Wedge him up. Get up, get up. All right, I think we got them all that time. All right, now I'm going to go from the top at kind of an angle and push them down one at a time and see what happens. See if I can find one binding. Okay, that was number 3, I think. Okay, no luck. I'm going to push them back up again and rinse and repeat. Oops. Get in there. That number 2 really doesn't want to go. Get under there. There we go. Don't know why he's not. He's really stuck on the bottom. I don't think they're all up. I think 2 is stuck on the bottom the whole time. And there we go. All right, I think number 2 was stuck on the bottom that whole time. I just didn't want to cooperate. All right, we do have an open. And I got to say, I had to do this part because when I saw the M&C, that kind of made me nervous. These are infamous for having trap pins. I didn't see any on the cutaway from the catalog, but I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to go ahead and keep rotating him and see if we get caught up in a trap. Okay, we're caught here, but this is not a trap. The driver pins have simply fallen into the keyway. So I'm going to push them up. And come on. Get around that warding. There we go. And I'm going to keep rotating, see if we catch a trap. And we're not. We got no trap. This is great. All right, it is now relocked. I do have plenty of keys. I have like a 6-pack of keys here. Let me zoom out. And I picked this end, the end without the gold on it. So let's go ahead. I believe we can disassemble this thing because we got these. Yeah, we ought to be able to disassemble that. Let me grab some tools. Never the first one. Yes, sir. All right, let's see what's in this thing. I need a pinning tray. Okay, let me get that screw so I don't lose it. All right, fellas, we're learning together. I don't know what is going to spring out of here, but let's try not to lose anything. Well, let's take that other screw out of there. All right, I do see a pin here, and that may be what's holding us up. I bet that's what's holding us up, guys. $1.02 a donut. That is what holds us up. All right, let me grab a punch. All right, let me just see if I can drive it here on the bench. Trying to salvage this. Yes, sir. That worked. All right, back to I don't know what's going to jump out of here. So there may be a poisonous snake in here for all I know. Okay, this is the one we picked. And we do have a circlip. Made in Switzerland. These guys did not want this to fall apart. All right, let's get a key. All right, let's see. I'm going to turn it like that. I'm going to find a follower that will fit. That ought to do it. Where are the pins? The pins are going to fall out the wrong side here. No, I'm good. Right there should be it. All right, we had a side pin that popped out. The other side, we're just right there he is. I'm going to put him right here. Okay, there are not 6 pins in there. There are only 5 pins. Despite that key, we do have a sidebar here, and he's about to spring out. I'm going to pull him out. So I'm going to set him right here. And we got 2 tiny little springs. I'm going to put my fingers on here. I'm going to pull out those tiny springs so I don't lose them. Okay, I'm really worried about pulling out. There's where your side pin went. We'll figure out what he was picking in just a moment. I'm really hesitant to pull this out because I don't know what's going to happen on the bottom. Okay, there you can see our sidebars. There are the, oh, there are the side pins. I dropped another pin, but it's okay. He was pin number 1. Let's, Bill, disaster time. I'm more concerned about these guys. We can figure out those pins in just a moment. Let's pull these guys out. These are for the sidebar. So that was pin 1. So we do have a false gate there. Okay, there was 3 and that was 2. And then we have, I need another finger here. 4 and 5. Okay, all of those guys are out. They held the sidebar. All the top pins have fallen out into this tray. We're going to grab those in a minute. It looks like we have a anti-drill steel plate right there. You will not be drilling out this shear line. All right, so this row goes to the bars that go on the sidebar. And then these are the normal pins. So those are the sliders. So there were indeed 5 sliders. Let's get these pins out of here. Okay, these are all standards, and push these guys up. That's number 1, number 2, and then these really don't matter. Looks like they're all standard pins. Slightly tapered on the tips, but that's it. All right, put this guy right here. Let's see what's upstairs. And he's hardly any spring tension on that guy at all. He doesn't want to come out. Oh, that might be an anti-drill. I'll bet you. That is another carbide insert in that first hole there. That is not a pin. That's a carbide insert. Wonder if you can see him from the top. No. M&C did not want this thing drilled. Okay, we have a... Come on, baby, focus for me. Kind of a T-pin looking thing, but it's tapered. It's not straight. Designed to snag into something. Number 1, and then a tiny little spring, micro spring. This truly will take 2 or 3 extra hands to get together. 1 serration in this guy. Again, tapered, but he's brass. I'm sorry, copper. I don't know why I always say brass. Another micro spring. Another one just barely sticking up there. Same thing. Hairspring. Another one. Looks like all these guys are the same. Every one of them has that tapered end pointing down at the shear line. And then the last one, number 5. And the micro spring. All right, let's take a look at this sidebar. Okay, the sidebar is active, and you can see the groove in the side. So when the sidebar is inside of here, in this slot, like so, get in there. And those little springs, of course, are going to keep him pushed outwards. He's trying to push in, but he can't because it has to line up with these little slots. Are we not focusing here? Come on, cooperate. So there's the side pin. That part is the pin that's protruding into the keyway that I had to push up and down. I had to push it up and down until the sidebar fell into that slot. If it wasn't in that slot, then the sidebar was protruding into the groove in the side of the housing. So that's how that worked. You'll notice all of these have a single groove except number 2 and except number 1. These have what are called false gates. Come on, focus for me. You see it has 2 grooves there? So it could fall into the wrong groove, which wouldn't line it up correctly. So it wouldn't be able to get out of the way of the shear line. So that sidebar would continue to block. I think those are the only 2. Yeah, only 2 of those had false gates. So my chances of raking were really, obviously, were pretty good. Anyway, that's the... that is the matrix cylinder from M&C. I'm sorry for the very kind of unprofessional gutting, but I have never gutted one of these before. I didn't know exactly what was all going to spring out of there. Here's what it looks like. So all of these are, the key pins are all standard, slightly tapered on the top. All the drivers had the narrowed tapered end pointing down to snag in the shear line. I don't see anything inside of the shear line. Looking at it off camera here, there's nothing in there that would have stopped it, nor is there any undercutting on the core itself. So that would simply give you a false set when you hit all those grooves together. And then, of course, you had to line up all the sidebars with those 5 slider pins. Not an easy lock. I think I probably had a high degree of luck on this one. Anyway, guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for your incredible patience and your tolerance for these sloppy guttings. And thank you, Safe Technician. I appreciate you sending this lock. Fellas, stay safe, stay legal.